Live. We are live. We are live. Billy TKO Ango. It is the Ango Show, February 4th, 2025. Billy, what up, my boy? I can't hear Billy. I don't know what's going on. We gotta what is happening here, Billy? Nope, I can't hear you.
Man.
I hear you. I think I hear you.
Yeah, now you do.
Okay, man. Well, now it is time to kick off. Hold on. Let's, I think we need to change something up really quick. I'm not really feeling it right now. You know what I mean?
What? What are you changing up?
Hold on, buddy.
Oh, no. Is it here?
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's not here.
Dang. Oh, that boy's standing up. He's coming up. That boy's up. Look at that. They said Tony Khan strikes again. Never.
Tony Khan.
No, he's not. No. Get out of here.
I have to stand up, Billy. You know why?
Why is that?
Because I'm mad right now.
Why are you mad, bro?
I'm mad. I'm so mad right now.
What are you mad at?
So mad.
What happened?
Billy, I told the world yesterday. Let me turn up my gain just a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, turn that up.
I was on Twitter. I was tweeting about Raw. I was tweeting about Jey Uso. And the IWC didn't like what I had to say. They were very mad. Yeah,
why were they mad, Ango?
Because I said that Jey Uso is more over than the Yes Movement.
I've seen that. People were not happy with you.
It's not fair, bro. It is not
fair. God forbid you said something that might be true.
Yeet. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm standing up because I'm on fucking fire.
Let's go, baby.
I don't give a shit, Billy. I don't give a shit.
Come on.
You know why I don't give a shit?
Why's that?
Okay, some people made a good point. We'll talk about it, all this stuff, right? We'll talk about Raw. But dude, people were like, the company wasn't behind Daniel Bryan, which, okay, that's a fair assessment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Jey Uso, I mean, from being, and I think he said it in his promo very well, man. He said it, it's from which brother are you? To you'll never be anything and you'll never be a singles guy. And I know when a lot of people were talking about Jay and Jimmy splitting up originally, Twitter was in this thing of where nobody thought that they could be singles guys, and Jay has obviously surpassed that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because while it is true that the Uso Yeet movement was fully backed by the company, obviously, I think it's not fair to use that against Jey Uso because it just goes to show you why it's bigger than the Yes movement. The Yes movement was a hijacking of the fans. The Yeet movement was essentially WWE taking advantage of the fans' feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
And not letting it get to the point where the fans had to hijack. Because that's what the fans do when they're pissed off. But yeah, Twitter, social media wasn't happy with your boy Ango, and I still don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. What a great Raw. Am I right?
Dude, it was a great Raw. I had a very good time watching. It was a great post-Royal Rumble Raw.
Yeah, we are officially on the road to WrestleMania.
For sure. The sign's up. We're there. And we see that entrance from Jey Uso. Oh my God.
So good, man.
And then they replay the music.
Yeah.
Come on. You're going to tell me that this isn't at the very least equivalent to what Daniel Bryan did?
Yeah, no, I love Daniel Bryan.
Why? And that was such a cool time.
Actually, to be honest with you, I think genuinely any person who says that I'm wrong, they can argue. This is a great argument. You could debate between both movements 1,000%.
For sure.
You could.
It's definitely debatable.
You know what I'm not going to debate with, though? And this is what ticked me off, Billy. It made me mad. I was mad. I was so fucking angry.
What were you angry at, bro? Why are you so mad?
I wasn't mad at all, but it was just funny. Like, Bryan Danielson's the best wrestler in the world.
You'll never be able to take from the Yes movement.
And I actually put out a tweet. I want to read it because I swear to God, if there's one person that can understand this, you.
Okay.
I know for a fact you can understand this, but I put out this tweet. Probably one of my greatest tweets ever. Just kidding. Somebody responded to my tweet that said, nobody gives a shit because he fucking sucks at wrestling. Great response, you fucking dork. Let me tell you why it doesn't matter. So I put out the tweet. I said, I know there's many who will disagree with me here, but I genuinely don't give a shit. Laugh my ass off. Being a good wrestler is like being a good musician. You could be the very best in the world, but if you don't know how to be marketable and get people actually invested in you, you actually fucking suck. And that was my tweet. That's my response. And I actually think that's true. Billy, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. I know a million people that make fucking great music. But if you don't got the company fucking backing you, you ain't shit.
Listen, as somebody who has a music background and somebody who has done music for a very long time, one thing I will say is there is nothing unfactual about what you just said, because let's be real here. If you can make the best music in the world, you could be the best wrestler in the world. But if your music sucks, then you're a nobody. So if it doesn't matter if you can or can't, quote unquote, wrestle, if you could sell tickets, if you could put asses in seats, if you're over, none of it fucking matters.
Yeah, no, I've learned the wrestling industry is very much like any other creative business. You know, a lot of people have dreams and aspirations of being an actor in Hollywood, and they might get some roles. You know, they might get a role here and there. They might be casted as an extra, but deep down inside, if you don't have a company backing you, you're never, ever, ever going to be something massive.
Nope.
And this is actually my problem because I think people don't understand this aspect of things, but I am a creative at heart.
Yeah.
Obviously music background, graphic design, this and that, and blah, blah. I never think I'm the best, but if I was the best, it doesn't matter because the talent itself sometimes just doesn't get you to where you need to be. That's the unfortunate reality of the world that we're living in. And that's why when I saw that tweet, I was laughing so hard because I'm like, well, yeah, Jey Uso is I will agree. Bryan Danielson is obviously a better wrestler than Jey Uso.
For sure.
In the wrestling industry, that doesn't matter. And I know that offends a lot of people, but then this is like what I was saying the other day. I think a lot of people are soft. Yeah, you got to realize that being the best wrestler.
You also have to ask yourself this question, right? You ready for this?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is no matter what, right? The one thing that WWE as a whole has always said, it's not the wrestling business. It's the entertainment business.
Let's say WWE was the wrestling business. Let's say being the best wrestler actually mattered in WWE. You know what doesn't matter in WWE? If you're the best wrestler and it's not equating to ticket sales, if it's not equating to merchandise sales, if it's not equating to 16,000 people in arenas or 70,000 in a stadium, it don't matter.
It really don't
matter. It
really
doesn't.
Don't.
It 1000% doesn't matter. So I thought that was very funny. I was popping off a little bit on Twitter. But it just goes to show you the mentality that some people have. It's this blind hate because Jey Uso isn't the best wrestler. He comes out on Raw, cuts the most emotional, heartfelt promo. Gunther comes out and basically is like, dog, you ain't doing shit from my legacy. So it was good.
I think we're getting the Gunther Jey Uso rematch.
We should.
Yeah, I think now after seeing, because Gunther looked more serious in this. Now he hates Jey. Now Jey is a thorn in his side.
Perfect.
That's exactly what this is supposed to be.
No, that's exactly what it should be. And I just thought it was absolutely funny. Just seeing the reaction. I think the IWC really exposed themselves with Jey winning. You know, and it's funny because we'll talk about Charlotte. There's a very big talking point about Charlotte, obviously from Raw, but it just goes to show you that it's like you have to be the internet's favorite to be considered successful or to be considered great. And I really love that comparison to music, because if you go look at like the XXL freshman list, I can't tell you one person who's on it. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter who's on it. I can tell you for certain, especially in Detroit, I could probably find 10 artists that are better than every single person on the XXL freshman list. So to me, it doesn't necessarily mean talent equates to success. And that's a hard reality for a lot of people in this world to accept. And sometimes you could be the greatest, but you might have a situation where it's just not in your circumstances to be successful, or you don't have the backing, or people don't see it, you know? And the thing is, like, that is such a tough thing to accept. I know people, I have a friend who's a very, very, very talented singer. I think he is a very good songwriter. I think he is a very good musician. He knows music theory. He knows all this stuff. And I can tell you right now that the views and the streams that he gets and all that it's not what he deserves. He deserves way more. But the reality is he doesn't have a fucking massive corporation backing him. And so it's very easy for somebody in his position to quit. Now, this is a little bit different in the wrestling industry, because if Bryan Danielson never popped off with the Yes Movement and he never became a big star in WWE, he probably would have never become a massive, massive star, but he would have always been successful. Mm-hmm. He would have always been a successful wrestler. But if he didn't have the Yes Movement in WWE, he would have been...
I don't think he would have been a superstar.
Exactly. And there's people, by the way, that I know who don't watch wrestling anymore, but they know who Daniel Bryan is. And I've told some of those people
here soon will be said for Jey Uso.
Exactly. But people are already talking about Jey Uso. They're like, oh, dude, this guy's crazy. Like, he's great.
Shannon Sharp's podcast with Chad Ochocinco.
That's what it is, man. Guys, there is a lot to discuss on Raw. We just 15 minutes in, and I was just fucking feeling it. I had to stand up.
Whoa, bro.
Crazy. Today's hopefully the last stream where I'm using this Elgato mic. This is coming back into play. I'm just waiting for my hardware to arrive, which could be any time now.
Ango and everything from my house.
Yeah. Billy's out working, and he brought out his stuff, and thank God he sounds crispy, because I sound like shit probably. But
you don't sound that bad. Not as bad as you think you do.
Appreciate that, Billy DTKO. Ladies and gentlemen, before we really jump into it, my bad, I got a little carried away. We got a couple super chats. I gotta throw up the super chat goal. We'll do it pretty light. 5 super chats. I don't know. We'll call it 5. The more the merrier, the better. Obviously, if you guys want to support the channel, and we'll get to a few of those. But I wanted to just show you guys, because we're taking this stuff very seriously. There's a couple things you could do if you want to support the channel. You can become a champion. The badges have changed on the channel. So when you become a member on the channel, you could be, a jobber. You could be in the mid card. You could be in the main event. It's up to you. There's exclusive badges, emotes. My personal favorite is the toilet paper one. You guys were throwing at Billy. You guys threw those toilet paper emotes at Billy for those Royal Rumble predictions. It wasn't too bad, though. And then, of course, we have the VIP Discord access and the live chat priority in the live streams. So you guys will get the badge, the emotes, the perks, all that stuff. If you guys want to become a member or gift a membership, you'll obviously be shouted out on the stream. But, of course, when we look at the live chat, the people with the badges will always have a little bit of higher priority. And then, of course, we do have some super chats to get to today. But you could join the super chat army. And the reason why I call it an army is, man, you guys are definitely like
flowing in.
Yeah, you guys would be doing a lot with your super chats, and obviously we appreciate it. They help drive the discussion forward, and of course, all of your comments and questions get read on the stream. But that also is a big reminder that piece of hardware that I'm waiting for will allow us to do some live call-ins, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we will definitely get to that. Shout out to everybody who supports the stream, has liked the stream, pulled up to the stream. Words cannot explain how grateful I am for you guys. Phil kicking us off with the $9.99 super chat. He says, the hate for Jey Uso is only online because if you were either there in Cleveland or watching at home, you know how over like Rover that man is. One more time chance for eating. I mean, come on. Let's talk about this. We've been talking a lot about Jey Uso the last few days.
Well, it's hard not to.
It's hard not to.
It's hard not to. This guy is so over, like Phil said. I mean, he's the topic of discussion, which tells me even more, hey, that guy should have won.
Hey, you know what's funny, Billy?
What's that?
In ring, Charlotte Flair is probably the best female in WWE.
For sure.
There's been countless times where she's had bangers, main events, amazing matches. We've said this in the streams before. She's kind of like the Roman Reigns of the women's division. There's other women, obviously, who are fantastic wrestlers, and they work maybe a more online internet wrestling community friendly moveset and shit like that. They do, they probably appease the marks a little bit more. But Charlotte, hands down, watching her from NXT, being a nobody to being where she is now, she's obviously a very, very big success story.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair comes out to cut this promo, and it's kind of like sentimental and emotional, and like the crowd just don't give a fuck, right?
Right.
So it kind of goes back to the thing, being like the best in ring or whatever. It doesn't necessarily equate to success. And it goes back to when you see the response to Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble, the reason why people are so mad about it, and it's rightfully so, it's because Charlotte's been shoved down your throat. Charlotte has been
for many years.
For years. Whether it's Vince or Triple H, it didn't change. Charlotte's always going to have, and the fans see right through it. The fans have a hard time responding to something like that. And the reason why they have such a hard time responding to something like that is because fans do want something new. And fans want that energy because it's contagious. And so what was really interesting, and we'll obviously talk more about it in the stream, but Charlotte was trying to cut a babyface promo. I mean, they're basically going to have to turn her heel. There's no...
Yeah, they were not having it. I mean, but that plays more into the Tiffany Stratton thing.
For sure, which there's a possibility this could work out if Triple H is listening and if he's smart. But it just goes to show you that the online hate, it's a very inaccurate description of what fans are actually feeling. And it goes back to what we were saying yesterday about spending money and stuff like that. And personally speaking, like a lot of businesses, I know, especially when I worked in the corporate world, you don't really care about the opinions of people who
that aren't putting money in your pockets.
Yeah, you don't. You know what I mean? You use them as a way to like learn about your business and how to grow your business, obviously, but you really try to appeal to the people putting money on your business. Right. And that comes from the corporate world. So like when I would see that, I think WWE's perspective of pushing Jey just makes a lot of sense. And that promo last night sold me on it.
From a business standpoint, you have to understand why these, especially Charlotte as well. You understand why Charlotte, especially in the women's division, let's be real here, whether you like her, whether you hate her, no matter what, she gets a reaction. And that is telling to WWE's strategy, right? It's no matter what, if you can go out there and you can get a actual reaction, they're going to do something with you. And we've seen it time and time and time and time again. It's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. Well, my tweet yesterday sparked a lot of conversation from people who said Jey is not a good wrestler. So Charlotte's obviously a great wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the wrestling. It's not about actually being a good wrestler, Billy. I was right. It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I wanted this. You didn't give me what I wanted. So now I got to make it look like my outrage is bigger than everybody else's. But then the reality
it's who can be the loudest in the room.
And it's funny because the loudest in the room is usually the person with no voice at all.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Shout out to Phil for the $9.99. Appreciate you, my boy. Polino Channel back at it again. 100 rupees. The Liv Ripley saga needs to end. EO situations is interesting, but missing star power like Becky, Vakur, and Julia get a call up to boost to the division.
I wanted to talk about this.
I do too, Billy. So let's start it off. Kick it off, my boy.
Dude, last night after the match between Liv Morgan and Io Sky, seeing that Rhea Ripley cost Io Sky that match, I do think I actually think that this Liv Morgan thing with Rhea Ripley is pretty much done. I think they still have to keep her around Liv a little bit, But I don't think it's a world where Liv is actually going to be fighting for the championship. Matter of fact, now, after seeing what I did last night, it only tells me that Io Sky is now going to be that person, because I've seen a lot of people on the internet, of course, getting super angry. Oh my God, what are they going to do with Io now? There's no road for her to WrestleMania, this, that, and the third. I actually think, I think I seen something online where somebody had said, possibly having Io win like a last chance qualifier match. And in that qualifier match, letting her enter the chamber and then her potentially winning the chamber to then face Io at WrestleMania, which I actually think is a great idea. And I think that the Liv saga with Rhea is pretty much done. And we're just looking at what's on the surface. And on the surface, it still looks like they're, quote unquote, somewhat involved. Seen her attack her last night. But the real problem at hand wasn't about her attacking her. It was about Rhea costing Io that match.
Yeah.
That was the real problem.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the way it was booked. I understand exactly what is happening. You have to get Liv Morgan still in the title picture without you don't look. Here's the issue that WWE has always had. People win the championship and then they eventually go into obscurity or they go into the lower card. Perfect example is Kofi Kingston. He hasn't been anywhere near the world championship, right? I think that's a very, very good example. So when I see Liv Morgan, she advances, but not because she's better than Io. It's just a way for WWE to keep her in the picture. Obviously, in the elimination chamber, I fully don't expect her to win. I do think my two picks for Rhea Ripley this year, it's either Bianca Belair crosses over into Raw as a heel and goes against Rhea, or Io Sky wins the chamber. And yesterday was the seed being planted for now Io having a reason to turn heel against Rhea. What scares me about that is Io not winning at WrestleMania, but I think that would be the right call.
Yeah, I mean, I know last year she lost at WrestleMania against Bayley, but I think if it plays into the long story, I'm okay with her losing.
Yeah.
I think it works better that way. I think you can play this out maybe till something like SummerSlam or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of go into the Bianca situation with Rhea, I think, because that allows more time for Bianca to tell the story that she's telling over there on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, again, we all know Triple H, he's long-term, man. He's playing the long game.
I could tell you right now, WWE, Triple H probably has an idea in his head of what he wants for WrestleMania 42.
Yeah, for sure.
Not scripted, not like pen to paper.
Structure of it in his head.
And I think if you have that long-term plan, I think Rhea and Bianca is inevitable at WrestleMania.
For sure. It has to happen.
You can also argue that is a main event match.
Yeah, you easily can.
Definitely agree with the Liv Ripley saga needing to end. I think it's pretty much done.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see them cross paths on TV. There might be a couple situations where, maybe next week, Rhea and Io, maybe we have a segment with them and then that leads to Raquel and Liv attacking them and then they're going to answer back. But eventually you'll see Io kind of pull away from helping Rhea because obviously her situation. But I definitely think Io is going to win the last chance triple threat match that they end up doing. And then I think she goes to the chamber and I think she wins. And at the end of the day, I think that's the right call. I think Io Sky is an incredible talent. And then, Tolino Channel mentioned in the super chat that I absolutely love this. Becky, Vicker, and Julia. I mean, you will boost the women's division when you bring them in.
It's just going to take some time for them to come up.
For sure. But if you could build, and this is where, the hardcore marks will really, really just get wet. When Julia and Io Sky inevitably have to have a women's world heavyweight championship match at WrestleMania.
Marks are going to be all over that one.
So, and I think Triple H will give it to them.
Yeah, WWE will be the best and, the greatest company around because, oh my God, look at what they did. And then you just realize I'm like, oh yeah, they were going to do that no matter what.
Eventually.
Weirdos.
I think eventually that's the possibility. But then you got to wonder when Asuka returns, how does she feel about Io holding the belt? And, Dakota Kai maybe breaking off and they build her up properly, right? Like there's a lot of things that could trickle down.
Remember the women's mid-card title. I know it doesn't seem like a lot because we got Lyra Valkyria next week in a match against Bayley. But that's still going to be a division that they're going to have to build as well.
Correct. And you got to do it twice, not just with the main event, but in the mid card. And, actually, Sean Ross had a really good tweet because it pretty much just took the words out of my mouth.
What's that?
Where is it? So somebody tweeted out, my honest opinion of the women's mid-card titles is that there are not enough women's in the division lower mid-card and under to challenge Lyra or Chelsea. Sean responded, he says, there are certainly enough women in the division. WWE just needs to start developing contenders and underneath feuds for women all around.
Almost have to structure the show like a certain way, right? Like it has to be your whatever story, but I think the ending should be like your main event for the women, your main event for the men. You have to make it feel like that. You know what I mean?
Listen, Raw is going around 2.5 hours roughly these last few weeks. They're not constantly doing 3-hour shows, but if you need to do 3-hour shows and start building up that undercard, because there is enough women. And so Tolino's channel, the reason why I kind of tie that in here too is because Vakur and Julia can get called up right now, but that kind of hurts NXT, so you don't want to do that. Now's the time to start developing that undercard, so that way Lyra Valkyria could go up to the main event scene, hopefully, right? Like same thing with Chelsea on SmackDown. It's a matter of time.
Yep.
Let's see. There was another super chat.
Was it from? I think it was from Tolino channel again.
Yep. Another super chat from Tolino channel. Yesterday, we got a debate about IWC on the show, but for Charlotte, she got cooked by real fans who bought the ticket. Charlotte needs to struggle to win. Well, the thing is, this is true, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, but I think the reality is that it's very tough for Charlotte to get the baby face reaction.
Because people already know to hate her.
And she's, to be honest, she was a very, very good heel.
Yeah, and also a lot of people, again, we compare her to Roman, but the one thing that Roman did different is that Roman got over to where he was gone for so long that they wanted to cheer him. Nobody wants to cheer Charlotte.
So here's the thing, Charlotte's gone
a year.
I feel like it's been longer than a year.
It may have been.
No, listen, I mean, the reality is that Charlotte's been away for a long time, but the reason why Charlotte is always going to struggle being that baby face. People do love to hate her. I think she is a very, very good heel to the point where people believe that's genuinely how she is as a person.
Yes.
And I think Charlotte naturally comes across as a heel with her gimmick.
Yeah.
Like even the video package that they did, even though she's a baby face, to me, it just felt like that's kind of what I expected. When you come out with, they have the diamonds and like the flashiness and stuff. That's not really relatable to a common person.
Yeah.
That flair, no pun intended, but like not everybody relates to that. So when you see characters that are extravagant and like her video packages and stuff like that, I don't think people really resonate with it from a babyface perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's just easier naturally to boo her as a heel. Charlotte's not going to win as a babyface. It's just not going to happen. They will have to pivot. Triple H will have to pivot 1000%. Tiffany Stratton will have to become a babyface. But this is a thing that like gets ignored. For the longest time, WWE had a hard time building up babyfaces, and now I think it is much easier to pivot with Charlotte because you don't have to.
She's already doing the work for you.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually kind of felt bad when she was cutting her promo.
Oh, dude, so did I. I was like, oh, God, this is almost, it's almost like cringeworthy, right? It's cringy to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's trying to say, like, oh, Cleveland, I love you. And they're like, yeah, hell no, we do not love you.
Oh, it's so sad, man.
Yeah, so sad. It sucks.
Tolino mentioned it though. She got cooked by real fans who bought the ticket.
Yeah, so. The IWC and the real fans hate her.
Yeah.
She's just naturally hated, dude. Play into that and let Tiffany Stratton be the babyface because everybody wants to cheer Tiffany Stratton, me included.
So the way I kind of want to look at this is, and it might be fun for this perspective of things.
Yeah.
What if if you really want Charlotte to be a babyface, what if you just have Tiffany beat her?
I don't even think that would do it.
I think it would.
I don't.
I think it would be interesting.
Dude, people want to cheer Tiffany way too much. She's so over with the fans, and you could use the sympathy aspect. The problem is everybody knows it's Charlotte Flair. You've seen it last night. They don't have any sympathy.
What if they get into a situation? This could be kind of cool.
All right.
What if they have a situation where they do like a fake babyface Charlotte?
I think that's what this is.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what I think this is.
Where she's actually a heel the entire time, but she's trying to disguise it by acting like a babyface.
It's almost like what Cody did.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I think that would be really freaking cool.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Here's the thing. And here's the thing, though. If she were to go into WrestleMania and lose to Tiffany and pull the John Cena, like Jey Uso celebration at the end of the Royal Rumble, you know, kind of like the passing of the torch, like respect thing.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte just fucking beats the shit out of her.
That's
double turn. That's double turn, bro.
Hey, look, count me in.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what it is, but as of right now, the crowd is obviously not bought into it. If I'm WWE, I lean into that heavily. You have to pivot. You have to pivot. There's no way you don't pivot. And you have to remember with Charlotte, and this is the truth, man. It goes back to what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. Roman Reigns was, even as a babyface, Roman Reigns is still kind of a dickhead.
Yeah, bro, he never apologized for anything.
Still hasn't.
Yeah. No, dude's still a dick.
But the reason why they like Roman, he's a good guy.
He is. They wanted to cheer him because of how long he was gone for. They started to understand the impact that Roman had.
Yeah.
When you do that, you're like, okay, we need this guy back. Problem with Charlotte is nobody understood and nobody understands the impact that Charlotte actually had.
Yeah.
And they don't care for Charlotte's impact because they think, again, she's been forced down our throats so much. We've seen so much of her. I already know what's going to happen when she comes up on my TV. And then she comes back and she automatically wins the Royal Rumble. So there's no struggle there. So it's like, I want to continue to dislike her.
Even if she struggles, I guarantee you, to be honest, people will still not.
That's what I'm saying. People, no matter what, they're just not going to like her. She's a 14-time champion. We've seen it so much, especially over the last 10 years.
What I would have really liked, honestly, is if maybe they held off. And I told you before, like Charlotte winning Royal Rumble wasn't. It was easy to predict. It wasn't what I was wanting, obviously.
Yeah.
But maybe for Charlotte going into 2025, have her lose to Tiffany, have her lean into this like baby face thing, as I said earlier, but really she's a heel the entire time, and then do the double turn at WrestleMania.
Yeah, which I think you could do no problem.
Yeah, you do the double turn, and then here's the cool thing. Tiffany gets that amazing WrestleMania moment as a babyface where she retains. You get the visual, you get the that moment that WWE thrives on. You make people happy.
Yep.
But then immediately after, you build out that feud longer, more in depth. And then I think too, Charlotte will get over more with the crowd as a heel if she if she starts decimating the women's division.
Yeah, that's how, I mean, because here's the thing. Again, it goes back to reactionary, right? A reaction is a reaction at the end of the day. So no matter whether they're booing, no matter whether they're cheering, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And I think people will boo more the more that she takes out anybody in the damn division.
No, for sure. Definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for those super chats. Got a couple more. Where is it at? Bring it down. Where's the chat? Where's the chat?
Where did chat go?
Sometimes y'all be moving too fast in the chat, guys.
Bro, I swear, I don't even know how they do it.
Miggy Sato dropping 125 Filipino pesos, I believe. Ivy will cause Lyra next week. Yes. Yep. I think they planted the story at the Royal Rumble with Ivy Nile and Lyra.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right idea. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about Sean Ross Sapp's tweet.
You just start building that division.
Yeah, and you plant the seeds. And the thing is, not everything needs to happen every single week, but you got to have continuity from moments that happen. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we'll talk about Penta too, because Penta was victorious yesterday. But you know, when I look at the Ivy Nile and Lyra Valkyria thing, I'm thinking, okay, that could be a pretty cool story. That could be pretty cool for Ivy Nile. I don't think Lyra Valkyria needs to have the longest women's intercontinental championship reign. Mm-hmm. Triple H loves long title reigns. I personally don't. It's something I incredibly disagree with WWE on. But, you know, we're going to talk about creating stars, and, you know, you can do a lot of great things with Ivy and Lyra long term that could eventually put them into the main event scene for the women.
Yeah.
And listen, you know what I would really love to see, man? It goes back to Tolino Channel super chat earlier, but Becky needs to come back too.
Yeah, and we need her back right now.
And I think maybe it would be better suited for people like Becky and Charlotte to be working with some of these women in the mid card.
Yeah, because that makes more sense. Now I get it. You got to do the Charlotte. She won the championship thing, but after that, imagine if she loses that match to Tiffany.
Yeah,
you send her down, let her fight for the United States title. You know, things that they haven't quote unquote done yet. This is a great opportunity for a lot of these younger talent to get the rub from the larger talent and to eventually push new stars. You know what I mean? Because Charlotte and Becky, they're always going to be stars no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, Alexa Bliss, she's always going to be a star no matter what.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to fight for the title all the time for their name to matter. Their name value isn't based around the title. It's based around them. So, you know, if you put them in let's use Charlotte Flair and Chelsea Green, right? I get it, but imagine if right now, right? It's Charlotte Flair. She's a babyface. She needs a heel to go up against that people hate more than her.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green, right? She's annoying. She gets on people's nerves. It's a great match. You know what I mean? Becky and Lyra is great.
Yeah, so I think one thing, it goes back to the hypocrisy within the IWC, right? Because they want new stars. They give you a new one. They want to shut it down. Then they give you the vet winning the Royal Rumble, and it's fuck this shit. It sucks. So that's why you got to be very, very careful and pay attention to the crowd. And for the women in the undercard, you really got to pay attention to the crowd, but it's kind of hard to gauge their interest if they're not consistently in storylines. So this is what I love about Ivy Nile having a storyline with Lyra, because I do think Ivy Nile should be the women's intercontinental champion at some point.
For sure, and I think she'll win it no matter what.
At some point, but I don't think immediately she will, which is kind of the unfortunate part from my standpoint. But at the same time, too, I love this super chat because this is how you create those layers to a story.
Yeah.
What, you know, if Lyra loses the Elimination Chamber qualifying match and Ivy Nile costed her, then at the end of the day, you have the storyline right there. Okay, well, what happens if Lyra beats Ivy Nile? You just do nothing with Ivy Nile? No, you have to do something with Ivy Nile for her to get back into that chase. And that's one of the things with pro wrestling, and more specifically WWE. WWE kind of, they figured out a way for most heels and baby faces to have a long drawn out storyline in the main event, but I don't think they figured out a way to do it with the women in the undercard.
Right.
And that's they have to do that.
And as soon as they do that, dude, this show will be so much better and fluent.
And by the way, Ivy Nile going to the Royal Rumble with the "You Suck" chants, it's not just applicable to Chad Gable or the Creeds. It is applicable to her. I think that was kind of the start of like, okay, hey, maybe we could build on her being a great heel. And that's obviously what I would like to see. You know what I mean?
Me too, for sure.
Thank you, Miggy, for the super chat. We got a $9.99 from, a $10 super chat from DirectTube. The problem with Charlotte is they just called her up and kept her at the top. They haven't given a true story to care. I think Tessa Blanchard can give her that when the time is right. Billy, what's your reaction to that?
Leave Tessa Blanchard in TNA. I don't think she's coming to or SmackDown anytime soon, especially to beef with Charlotte. But I will say, yeah, no, it's the truth, right? They kept her at the top. She never had, I mean, okay, here's the thing. Did she have some story? For sure. When you think about the 4 horsewomen and stuff like that, there was story behind that. Problem is none of that ever really mattered. I mean, they had the Rhea thing going into 39 because when you think about WrestleMania 36, there was no real story there. It was just you wanted to see Rhea and Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
39, they have a little bit more of a story. So I think now is where you can kind of get a story drawn out for her.
Yeah.
You have that long-term effect. What happens after WrestleMania? Because Charlotte, whether she wins or loses, it's what happens after. And I think Triple H now is going to have a played out storyline for that. I think he's looking 10 steps ahead for Charlotte.
The problem with Charlotte, I think, is she suffered the Roman Reigns
Vince
McMahon thing.
Yeah, no, she was shoved down everybody's throat.
Do you think that's because she's a Flair?
I think that has something to do with it for sure.
Well,
I'm not going to say it's everything, but I'll definitely say it. There's a part about it, right?
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
It's interesting.
Especially because Rick held 16 titles. Dude, she's already at 14.
Yeah. They need a final boss of the women's division. Charlotte should be the final boss. She should be the head of the table, right? I definitely agree with that sentiment. The problem is you have her win the Royal Rumble, you rush her back. Mm-hmm. You're trying to force it as a baby face. Again, it's what I keep saying. They just have to pivot. This is, I don't know if this is like a Triple H thing where maybe we're jumping the gun and maybe I was right earlier about the sense of like, hey, maybe they'll have her kind of like lean into being the baby face. But yeah, we don't really know the long-term plan. But if the plan is for her just to be a baby face, like if that's the actual plan, they have to get away from that. It's not going to work. And not only will it not work, Billy, but it's going to get to the point where when they try to have Charlotte put somebody over, that's like the next big star of WWE.
It's going to immediately get annihilated.
Yes, because people just don't care for her. I respect the hell out of Charlotte. I think she's a really, really good performer. I think she's really good with the character work, but she suffered the same thing that Roman Reigns had, which was this was the thing where like constantly winning, constantly having these accolades, the crowd rejecting it, not listening. And, you know, one thing I do want to point out too, and I think this is a very, very big thing, what really, really helped Roman when he came back and like they really focused on the bloodline thing, there was something there that naturally felt right because of the family ties and family drama and cinema. Charlotte doesn't have that in this situation. But I almost wonder if Charlotte were to try and if they were to try to replicate it with like maybe giving Charlotte a faction or, you know, like how cool would it be if maybe Charlotte... So like, okay, this is where I struggle with it though.
Okay.
Who would naturally fit in the faction with Charlotte? Because here's the thing, DirectTube, I appreciate your super chat and I agree with the first half of it. I can't agree with the Tessa Blanchard thing because I just don't think I don't think people care to watch Tessa. However, what I do think would be interesting is watching Jordynne Grace be that baby face that dethrones Charlotte, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm Jordynne Grace and I'm going to go up against Charlotte, you really want to build out a program into a big program, then maybe the faction thing with Charlotte would make sense. But then who do you put in the faction?
So hear me out, right? I don't think it has to be this big drawn out thing of who fits well with Charlotte. I think this is another way to put new stars on TV, right? Who's another good heel right now that can learn from Charlotte? I don't know. Roxanne Perez, possibly. You also have somebody, trying to think who else. Because here's the thing. You need to build this division a little bit. Say, for instance, Charlotte won the title. Roxanne went and won the United States Championship or whatever, and you just had this women's division just kind of all over the place right now because of this faction or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I could see somebody like Roxanne Perez potentially. I don't know. I'm thinking of NXT stars to potentially join her. Would I be wrong for thinking that?
I just think there's so many different ways and better ways to use Roxanne. Manuel Dominguez. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. He says Kiana James and Ariana Grace.
Yes.
I don't like Ariana Grace, but Kiana James has been off of TV. I could see that possibly working.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to see Charlotte maybe have a faction of heels.
Just kind of roaming around, causing problems.
Yeah.
Kind of, again, what Roman did.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
And then you could have Jordan Grace or somebody dethrone her. I don't know.
Dethrone her, yeah.
They need to do something with Charlotte that's completely different. Maybe you replicate the process with Roman. Otherwise, naturally, people will not like her. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, D-Rec2, for the super chat. Tolino Channel dropping another one. Owens gives me fully vibe. The pain Owens suffered from Sami caused by doing nothing greater than pain caused by the broken body. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn thing it's like I've been saying, I think that's going to be the match for WrestleMania. I think Triple H really wants them to have that singles match. We were waiting for it. We've drawn it out. I think
it happens at WrestleMania.
I think they go and do it at Elimination Chamber, and I think they do it at WrestleMania.
See, I was just about to say, I think they do it potentially. What you could do is you could get Sami and Kevin Owens at the Chamber. It's in Toronto. You could have Randy Costum in there, or you could have Kevin Owens win a qualifier match to enter the Chamber, and you could have Sami Costum, and I think that would be your way to get to WrestleMania. But I think if you do it where they face at the Chamber, I think that adds Randy into the storyline, and you get Randy and Kevin at WrestleMania.
So Randy and Kevin at WrestleMania would be freaking awesome.
It would.
And it makes a lot of sense because you want to have a big marquee match and there's the history there. So I'm not opposed to that. I just think WrestleMania, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, it just makes sense. From winning the tag team championships at WrestleMania to now feuding with each other, mm-hmm. I think that's the better call.
But the problem is then the Randy situation. I mean, you can do it at SummerSlam, but again, it just seems like, okay, here's the thing, right? As long-term storytelling is good, it's only good to a certain degree when things are adding up at the times that they need to. We all expected Randy to return at the Royal Rumble, and he didn't. So now they've pivoted into Sami, which always makes sense because Sami and Kevin have that history. The problem with it is, though, is that I've seen Sami and Kevin wrestle so many times. Now, granted, maybe not everybody has seen it on the grandest stage, right? But overall, I know the story that they were trying to tell with Randy. And Randy's been out longer than anybody from the pile driver. He's been out, what, 2 months now?
Something like that.
Something like that. So I think that the story going into Mania, if you want to do it correctly, you do it at Mania, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. I think there's a lot to tell with that. That way, again, if Cody retains whoever he faces or whatever the case is, or even if he loses, you have that story at SummerSlam between Cody and Randy. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm going to argue that I think Sami and Kevin Owens, based on everything from winning the tag titles and the bloodline stuff, I think that is a much more layered storyline.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's layered. You're absolutely right. I'm not saying it's not layered.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's what we were telling in the long term to begin with.
I think if you're really looking long term, the match that makes more sense than Kevin and Randy would be Cody and Randy, because that's even longer. So the thing is, you got to think WWE does everything long term. I don't think they get to Kevin and Randy at WrestleMania.
Do you think that they potentially do that at SummerSlam?
I think maybe you fucking have Randy come back at WrestleMania and cost Kevin Owens the match.
You could do that. You could do that.
And then that sets up Kevin and Randy. That's what I would do, personally speaking. I mean, I understand everybody wants Randy versus Kevin, but you don't go from winning.
Have Kevin win or get entered into the chamber, have Sami cost him, and then you get the match at WrestleMania.
There you go.
Boom. Simple.
There you go. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Sami Zayn should be out of TV. He got stretchered out. This is how it works right here. This is it. This is literally how you do it. Give me a second because I'm about to just,
Go do your thing. Go do your thing.
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
He's about to cook, y'all.
About to cook. When I do this, when I take a little break,
he's about to cook.
I want to highlight what I'm about to say.
Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Let him cook now.
All right, listen. So this is how it's going to work. We see Sami Zayn get stretchered out last night after Raw, okay?
Yeah.
Kevin Owens attacked him. We know that when people get pile driven by Kevin Owens, it happens. He's done. He's going to be off TV for a little bit. Kevin Owens should qualify for the Elimination Chamber. He qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. Sami Zayn returns in Toronto. Massive pop. Screws over Kevin Owens. You set up WrestleMania between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, because you go from main eventing WrestleMania and winning the tag team championship belts, and by the way, they have a lot more history than that, but you do that.
Yeah.
Then Sami Zayn, ultimate babyface move, beats Kevin Owens at WrestleMania thanks to the return of Randy Orton. Now you have a major summer program between Randy and Kevin. And then the good news is that will circulate back to Cody, which will ultimately lead to Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Because whoever versus Cody at WrestleMania, I'm sorry, brother, but you are not winning that title. Cody will win at WrestleMania, and then Cody and Randy Orton, I think, makes the most sense at SummerSlam.
Do you think Randy beats him for the belt?
100%.
Boom. I like it. I dig it. I dig it. Very simple storytelling, too. It's not hard.
Where's the lie?
There's no lie in there, Ango.
20 years of history with Owens and Zayn. You have about a couple months, a year, 2 years with Owens and Randy. I just think this makes more sense. And you do that match on the grandest stage of them all. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Appreciate you. We got a couple more to get through. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't, make sure you consider dropping a super chat. Yeah, keeps the conversation driven. We need one more super chat to hit our goal. Let's pull up the next one. Let's see where it's at. David Primero dropping $4.99. He says, I can see Charlotte winning, but winning the fans by putting over new stars like Tiffany, lose all of her big matches and go on last rodeo probably to win fan over. Yeah, everybody keeps circling back to Charlotte, and I think the Charlotte situation makes a lot of sense to talk about because of the fact that what we saw on Raw was just, it was very, very clear Charlotte's not being respected right now. And I genuinely don't think that's going to change until they do something drastically. Even if she puts over a new star, even if she put over Tiffany, I think people are still going to be sick and tired of Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And that's just because of so many years and so many meaningless title shots and title reigns. And I think that's one of the big things that
I'll tell you what, they got a lot of work to do if they're going to try and put her back over.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yeah.
She's tough. Great. She's great. Nobody's saying that she's not. But the fans just can't get behind her.
Yeah.
That's my thought process on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Charlotte just needs a complete overhaul and
package.
I think the faction idea works.
Yep.
I think Charlotte's it's a tough spot, man.
It is. For sure is.
It's a tough spot. She's very, very talented, and it sucks, but it goes to show you that the crowd will reject. They want something new.
They do. They do.
And here's the thing. They want something new, and that was very clear with Jey Uso. Mm-hmm. And so even now, like we've seen Liv Morgan, the same thing is going to happen to Rhea Ripley.
For sure.
Eventually, it's gonna have a stage where it just like people are like, okay, man, like we're tired of it. I know I already hit the stage with Rhea.
Yeah, I don't find a lot of interest in Rhea right now.
Yeah, to me, I think the Judgment Day was just too much. And there's ways for Rhea to evolve, and the storylines are able to evolve and stuff. But for me, it's like I just want fresh blood, man. You have all these talents that came from Japan, push them. You have some talents that came from the Indies, push them. You have some women in NXT, push them. You gotta make some change. The only difference is Rhea wasn't given 14, 15 championship reigns. Charlotte was given plenty of reigns. It's the same thing I say about Becky. Like, as much as I want Becky back, Becky coming back and being in the main event scene is not really exciting to me. But if Becky Lynch came back and then she was doing some stuff, with Lyra Valkyria or some of these younger, up and coming talents, then I'd be like, okay, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
But they need to do something different. Even when Becky comes back, she has to be a heel. I'm tired of babyface Becky. So maybe Becky and Rollins being an annoying ass power couple, like maybe that could work. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, spitballing, things need to change. Things definitely need to change.
That they do.
Shout out to David Primero for the super chat. Toledo channel dropping another one. When Becky beat Charlotte, she became the man. When Ripley beat her at WrestleMania, she became a draw. Whoever attacks babyface Charlotte is a huge draw. Yes, babyface Charlotte is good for business. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you though. It might be good for business because of the name value, but I'm in the business of creating more name value for the long term, and Charlotte hasn't done that. And honestly, like, you could even argue that Roman hasn't really done that. Yes, Cody is a draw and he's good for business, but Cody is what, 40 years old? I don't know how old Cody is. I'm not an encyclopedia, but I'm just saying it's not like Roman Reigns just put over Braun Breaker to finish the story. I mean, he put over a veteran, which was the right call, 100%. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, creating a good draw, a big draw, that's great, and that is good for business. But I do think business long-term matters, and what are you going to do when your Charlottes and your Roman and your Beckys and everybody retires? I mean, look how people reacted when Becky just took a break,
Yeah, it's true. We got to start putting this young talent over.
Yeah. Shout out to Toledo channel for the super chat. Phil dropping a $4.99. He says, if I had things my way, here's what I would do. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. KO versus Randy at WrestleMania. Cody versus Punk at WrestleMania. Cody versus Cena at SummerSlam. Billy, what's your thoughts?
All right, so look. The storylines are so good right now that you feel like you have to pick and choose. Right?
Okay.
So when Phil says Cody versus Cena at WrestleMania, I'm going to work backwards here a little bit. When I see Cody and Cena at SummerSlam, I say, okay, that doesn't sound bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to tell that story, that's the title that was most synonymous with Cena, right? So if he wins 17, he should win Cody's, right? Because it was the one most synonymous with him. Okay. So you talk about Cody and Punk at WrestleMania. I think there is way too much to tell there. Me personally, there's too much to tell to forget somebody like Seth Rollins in Punk. Okay. You want to do KO versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. You could do that, kind of like I said earlier. I think that could potentially work, and you do Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. The problem with it is, it's not what I want to see. Cody and Punk sounds nice on the surface, and I'm a big Punk guy. Everybody knows that. But I'd like to see Seth somewhere in the mix of that.
No.
Right? Because let's be real here. There's a story to tell with that. You add Roman in the mix as well. And you do some type of fatal four-way for that title.
The multi-man match would be cool. We've been talking about that. But if you're going to go singles route, Death versus Roman, again, we love the fucking storytelling. 10 years ago, it all started. Now it's a WrestleMania match. And
it makes sense.
It just makes sense, man.
I do wonder where they're going to go here with that. That's something that's genuinely been on my mind. Because there's...
Oh, go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say there's an argument that you could do a fatal four-way match.
Yes, there is. But I think WrestleMania is... I think Triple H wants to do singles.
I wonder. I do wonder.
I would much rather have this than anything else. Like in comparison to a multi-man match, what I was saying about Sami, Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, Randy returns at WrestleMania. Because here's the thing.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. I like my opinion. I'm probably not going to change my mind.
Yeah, it's the most logical.
And here's the thing. Unfortunately, you have a lot of people you're trying to get on the card. So do you do another singles match, right? Like, no. What you do is you don't do another singles match. You get to the point where the singles matches that you have the most layers. The multi-man matches is the ones that you get the most people on the card.
Yeah.
Maybe they could bring back Andre the Giant Battle Memorial Royal Rumble Battle Royal, whatever fuck it's called. Maybe you could call it the fucking Ango Scorching Hot Takes Battle Royale Memorial. I don't know. I'm just saying at this fucking point, my point that I'm trying to say is that if you're going to do a multi-man match, more than likely you're going to do it for the mid-card titles. These singles matches have to have layers to it, which is also the reason why I'm not necessarily on board with the idea, sadly, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. It could be a good feud. It could be a good TV feud. You could do it on a B-level pay-per-view. I wouldn't waste that at WrestleMania.
No, I wouldn't either.
You know,
just for the sake of getting them on the card.
Yeah, at that point, you could just have fucking Damian Priest win the Battle Royal, Andre the Giant Memorial Royal.
Battle Memorial Royal.
Dude, I don't know. Fucking tongue twister like crazy. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. We did hit our super chat goal today. So obviously, shout out to you guys. We went a little bit over an hour. Just a couple things I want to discuss. Billy.
Yes, sir.
Penta. Ludwig Kaiser. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I think it's great. And I think you add Pete Dunne into that too. And guess what you're getting? You're getting a really good structure.
For what?
The mid-card title.
For what?
The mid-card title.
What?
The mid-card title.
What?
What?
No, I think we're building up that WrestleMania 6-man ladder match. Pete Dunne and Braun Breaker. Fucking, oh my God. Ludwig, Sheamus.
Yep, it's just one big circle.
Oh my God, dude. That is going to be a fucking banger.
After banger after banger. Come on.
Yeah, that shit's wild, bro. That shit's like.
Yeah, I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to that because what I seen last night was great. You get the distraction from Pete Dunne and then Ludwig attacks him from the back. Come on, heel tactics, baby.
Yeah, I love what they're doing there. Penta looks amazing on Raw.
Mm-hmm. I did like what Braun Breaker said backstage about AJ Styles.
Yeah,
how he said,
you gotta wonder because AJ's coming to Raw,
and I think the trade will be AJ for Drew.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be how they explain how Drew ends up over on SmackDown.
Has AJ ever actually been a member of the Raw roster?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Back in like 2019.
You know, I'm just saying 2025, 2026, an AJ World Heavyweight Championship reign would be pretty freaking cool to end his career.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought Raw was good, man. I think the only thing I really didn't care about for Raw, honestly.
Let's see.
I wrote it down in my notes, actually. Oh, it was the New Day thing.
I do like the new theme song, though.
It was all right. Yeah, I didn't care. I get what they were doing with Logan Paul being
because he has the Eliminator match against Rey Mysterio next week.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care for Dragon Lee and Ray losing like that. But that's just my own personal opinion. I feel like if you're trying to build up the tag team division, I feel like Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio should be getting some wins personally. But
for sure, I even said to myself last night, I was like, Dragon Lee comes out like every couple weeks or something like that, puts on a banger, and then leaves for a couple weeks.
Yeah. What about Punk and Zayn, bro?
Dude, that match slapped. Match wise, come on. Punk is such an old school wrestler.
Yeah.
And I forgot how much I love like that old school style of wrestling.
Yeah.
Where he's like playing into the shoulder and stuff like that. Like, dude, that's how you do it. That's how you tell a story in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Sammy, his shoulder. I love it.
It was just really cool to see what they were doing there with the match itself, and then how they ended Raw, and then Owens, and like, oh my God, bro.
He put his face in the middle of Punk played into some heel tactics last night.
Punk, I'm not convinced Punk is going to be a babyface much longer.
No, dude, because Punk put Sammy's face in there and he said, "You're not on my level." And he's pointing at the WrestleMania sign. You're not on my level.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. That is some heel freaking work.
It's cool watching Raw and watching Punk on Raw and actually having matches on Raw.
Yeah, that was really cool.
But I think Punk is just levels above what he was in AEW. And I didn't expect that. I definitely didn't expect that, especially when he first came back.
They're putting on great wrestling matches. We know Punk's a great wrestler. We always knew that.
Yeah, but I feel like it's his storytelling and his like the mechanics of like the in-ring stuff. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very, very good.
It's old school, man. It's what he knows. That's what made him, quote unquote, the best in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Very cool, and very happy to see, how they did this and how they structured everything. To me, it feels a little bit more excited about what is to come with this Elimination Chamber qualifier.
It's going to be very telling.
I think we are about to see a very, very stacked Elimination Chamber.
For sure. I think we're going to get Logan in there. I think we potentially get Kevin in there. We obviously get Punk in there. We got Cena in there. Who else?
So excited, man.
Yeah. This one's going to be good, dude.
Everything in WWE is pretty much hitting. The thing that's not hitting is what we were saying earlier about them developing the undercard for the women.
Yes, that's my only problem.
That's, I think, the biggest flaw that they have right now. The tag team division could be a little bit better, but, at least they're doing stuff with it and they're building stuff up, a little bit by little. But, yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just... Clearly, Kevin Owens showing up on Raw and going after Sami is just...
Can we talk about how he wore that damn shirt?
Sami Zayn forever, bro. What a visual.
I said to myself, that's nefarious. That's diabolical. That's D1 division hater status. I said, this guy hates Sami. He doesn't love him. He despises that guy.
Yeah.
I love it.
So good.
I aspire to be that much of a hater.
Again, man, layers and stories matter, and that's the reason why people are bought into it, and people are invested in the WWE product, and going back years and years and years, and then going back 2 years, and then going back another year. Things that have happened in the past are all of a sudden relevant in today's WWE product, and that is where they have done an exceptional job of
And that visual of Kevin when he got put through the ladder, sitting next to Sami, that visual speaks volumes now.
But that right there is the moment where it's like you can tell this is going to lead to that next step.
Yeah,
and we got there, and they didn't make us wait long.
No, yeah, I mean it was right away.
Yeah, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
We got a super chat from Tolino Channel again. He says, imagine Creed's winning tag titles and Ivy winning the IC title, and when Gable returns, they say they don't need you. Yeah, I love you, Tolino Channel. Thank you for all the love and the super chats. I do have to be honest, though. I disagree. I love American Made Together. The You Suck chants all together. They're a great faction. I still believe Chad Gable is going to be a world champion one day. I think that time will come. I don't want to see them drop. I think this is they found something that works for everybody. I personally want to see them together for a very long time. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then Phil dropping to $4.99. He says Punk in 2025 compared to 2014 is more mature, and he just gets it. Not that he didn't get it before, but in this era of WWE, it's so different, as we know. I don't know if it was Nightcap or what show he was on, or Pat McAfee or whatever he was on. I remember seeing or hearing the audio that he was talking about, about pitching to win and stuff like that.
He prefers the chase.
And he says, he's like, I prefer the chase. And, the thing for Punk is like, Punk, I think personally loves wrestling so much. And I think back then Punk wanted to be the headliner and Punk wanted to be the winner and he wanted to be the big draw and he wanted to be the big deal and he wanted everybody talking about him.
I don't think that matters anymore.
I think for Punk now, he can leave a better legacy knowing that all the drama and stuff's been left behind. And then he can actually leave the wrestling industry with it doing better and people doing better and people actually learning and protecting the business. I do think deep down inside Punk should be a world champion at some point before he hangs it up. I do. But the cool thing is if Punk is the world champion and he eventually drops it to that rising star, holy shit.
Imagine that rub that rising star is about to get.
Yeah. But not only is he much more mature too, I think just the fundamentals have actually like really changed for Punk too, in the sense that like he's always been a great storyteller and a great in-ring performer. And but dude, now I it's just like another level.
Yeah, dude, he's working safe. He's working protective. You know what I mean? He's protecting his opponent. I don't know, man. As somebody who's been a long time CM Punk fan, I just genuinely enjoy seeing him happy, dude. I'll be honest with you. I enjoy hearing him talk about like, oh yeah, I prefer the chase. Like, yeah, somebody who's been a fan, like, dude, that guy deserves to be able to have this conversation after everything that he's gone through and stuff like that. I mean, whether you love him or hate him, the guy has done a lot for this business. And even while he was gone, did a lot for this business because it continuously gave people something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, man. I love seeing this side of Punk. I love seeing what he's doing in the ring. He's fucking stellar, man.
And it looks like he's actually having a good time.
Yeah, it looks like he's having fun. He's hanging out in NXT and shit. Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade. Hopefully we get
he was training eventually. He was training with Braun Breaker and
Williams.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Dude, come on.
I love it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, Billy?
I said give the guy his praise.
Yeah, for sure. If we're going to shit on him in AEW, we're going to praise him in WWE if we see change. If it happened in AEW. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Ango Show. Just going a little bit over an hour and 15 minutes. Tomorrow we'll be back. We'll talk NXT. We'll talk AEW. We'll talk everything pro wrestling. And we'll have a couple stories to discuss. And a couple different things are popping up. Hopefully tomorrow we can start accepting calls.
Do we have like a number that we're going to put on it for them?
Yeah. There's going to be a little bit of a process. There's a little bit of phone number. We're just waiting for the notification that it's arrived. Still waiting. But man, I'm excited. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody for your super chats. Just a quick reminder, you could become a champion. You can unlock the exclusive emotes, the badges, the VIP Discord access, live chat priority. Shout out to Mojo Dojo in the chat. He said message retracted. I don't know why he deleted that, but shout out to him. Darth Bane, Phil, Cedric, so many of you guys in the chat. Laws, thank you everybody for your love and support. We smashed it today. Shout out to DirectTube, Miggy, Tolino Channel. Thank you guys as well for your super chats. Shout out to everybody joining us, man. One last thing. People are talking about the glitches on Netflix. That was, from what I've been told, that was a weather issue. I don't think that was like physically on Netflix. I don't think it was an issue with them, but
okay.
Mojo Dojo says, I'm going to AEW Wrestling on March 5th. God bless you, dude. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show. We'll see you guys next time. Over 300 people tuned in. Not the highest, we've done in the last few weeks, but definitely not the lowest.
Beautiful number.
Appreciate you guys coming up. And then if you guys could do me a favor and just share and like, eventually, if we could do 1,000 viewers Monday through Friday, I'll try. But with that being said, Billy TKO, follow him, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. Ango PW as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.